Since 1991, GroundSwell has delighted and challenged audiences with an eclectic combination of all that is good about new music. To guide us through GroundSwell's 5 concerts this 2018-19 season, I'm joined by Interim Executive Director David R. Scott. Good afternoon, David. Welcome to Classic 107.
Well, thank you very much. Good to be here.
I'm very glad to have you here in the studio. This is probably the most exciting time of the year. It is the return of concert season. And this season at GroundSwell, what do you guys have planned?
Well, you're right. I mean, it's a very busy time of year, but we've also been spending the whole summer preparing for this time of year. So our concert season starts on September 26th this year, and we've got, 5 concerts over the course of the year, but on September 26th, we have the Vancouver Intercultural Orchestra. So they're from Vancouver, of course, and they play new Canadian music, but they're playing on instruments that you probably won't be seeing every day. So, for example, traditional instruments from China and Japan and India and Persia and Vietnam, and it's a fairly large ensemble. Mm-hmm. So it's a very exciting group to see, because you're seeing all this exotic stuff on stage and brand new music. So it's quite a fabulous experience.
It sounds like a totally fascinating concert, especially that you referenced the seeing, because these instruments aren't ones that we're going to hear in the Chabrier that we just heard, for instance. These are going to be different things that audiences aren't perhaps used to encountering.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, the concert starts at 8 on the 26th, but at 7, we're doing a pre-concert talk and demonstration. Oh. So that'll allow you to get into the space with the instruments and see them and hear them by themselves. And so that'll be really fun.
Oh, I think that's going to be most excellent. I wanted to ask, so we were chatting off the air. I love this line in GroundSwell's bio that says, delighted and challenged audiences. And I wonder if you would indulge me in this just a little bit. I was wondering if you could pick 2 other highlights this year, that one which would delight audiences, you think, and then another that would challenge. What would you suggest?
Well, I think probably the easy answer is, of course, our whole season will delight and challenge.
Exactly.
Well, because there's such a range of stuff, it's hard to kind of pinpoint.
Yeah.
We've got an interesting concert in October that features a percussionist from Montreal, Ayun Huang, and she's a virtuoso percussionist, but she also does a certain amount of theater while she's playing. So pieces have a theatrical aspect to them, which is wonderful to see as a live performance. And she'll be joined by Sarah Jo Kirsch, who, of course, we all know very well around Winnipeg.
Of course.
And so that concert is going to be, let's see, what were the 2 categories? Delight
and challenge.
Well, there will be challenges there, for sure.
As well as visual and oral delight.
Yes.
There's a lot to take in.
One of the pieces that will be played on October 16th is Ligeti's, or Ligeti's. What did we decide?
I think we went with Ligeti. But okay. I think I've heard 7 different pronunciations.
Oh, I know. So Ligeti's Mysteries of the Macabre, which is an incredible piece, and it's theatrical to the max, but it's also virtuosic in terms of the music. So I think that show will definitely fit into both of those categories very nicely.
There's also going to be a world premiere at that show as well, right? Is that going to be the Michael Matthews world premiere as well?
That's right. Yeah, Michael Matthews is a curator for that show, and he actually wrote this piece a number of years ago, and the ensemble, not because of him, I don't think, but the ensemble ceased to exist soon after, so he never had it premiered. So he revised it, and now that will be premiered.
Oh, excellent.
On that show.
Excellent. Yeah. As you're kind of looking through the year that is coming for GroundSwell, I think what's really neat here is that you're going to hear world premieres by established composers like Michael Matthews, but also new and emerging composers. I mean, you touched on it with Vico, but I think just after that, there's the Ensemble Contemporain de Montréal that is coming through Winnipeg as well. I think that one also has the opportunity to challenge or delight too, right?
I would think so, yeah. So that they do this ECM Plus, they're called. So that ensemble every 2 years has a competition, and they choose the best of the best in that competition. And that group of composers will tour across Canada. And so that you're going to hear some of the most cutting-edge emerging composers coming out of mostly Montreal, but also Ontario and BC. So that'll be great. That's November 8th.
And there's some audience interaction as well?
Well, I don't quite understand what's going to go on there, but apparently there'll be a host who will kind of animate the evening, and the audience has the opportunity to to vote on their favorite piece and interact in some way. I'm not sure how the tech was going to work on that. It makes me a little bit nervous because I'll have to organize that.
Well, audiences will just have to be there and offer their feedback on what they've heard of the show.
Yeah.
And then looking at a little bit later on in the season, what can audiences expect?
Well, we've after January 20th, actually, we've got a couple of musicians coming from Sweden. And they'll be doing a fabulous show with woodwinds and electronics and voice. And then way down in April, Diana McIntosh will be doing a concert that really explores the country of Canada to a large extent. So it's celebrating the environment and the people and the cultures. Diana actually is an avid mountain climber and an explorer, and in not just new music, but in the real world as well. And so this concert is kind of inspired by that activity for her.
And I think that's something that so many of us here in Canada can relate to. I mean, we are so lucky to have the country that we do, and the magnificent vistas and experiences. And I mean, from east to west, there's so much to take in. So it'll be very interesting to see how that influences and inspires her writing, especially since the show is titled Made in Canada.
Exactly, yeah.
Excellent. I also wanted to ask you about some of the special events that are going on with GroundSwell this year. Many of them are multidisciplinary, which I just wanted to briefly touch on. What is it to you as a composer and as the interim executive director? What is it about new music that lends itself so readily to collaboration in this style?
Yeah, it's a good question because depending on the other collaborative art form, I mean, dance is an obvious match, but movies too are a fabulous match because a movie score can make or break a film. And if you don't notice the score behind a movie, that's the best kind of a movie score.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of collaborations with Cinematech, the Winnipeg Film Group Cinematech, and they're actually on musical subjects, so it's not about the music for the film, it's about the creators who were composers. And so that's very interesting. Well, certainly the first one, the film about Ryuichi Sakamoto, called Coda. It's basically about his life as a composer. The second one is a much more avant-garde, less of a narrative type of film by this very incredible director, Bill Morrison, and that's Decasia. And one more thing I should mention, we're doing a partnership with Send and Receive, which is a sound festival that takes place in Winnipeg. And so it's their 20th anniversary, which is amazing to me. But we're doing a collaboration actually coming up very soon in early October with featuring the American artist Sarah Hennies. And so that's going to be really interesting. There's a film and there's also some performances of hers. There's
so much to take in with GroundSwell this year. David, I want to thank you so much for coming by Classic 107 to tell us about it.
And actually, I wanted to just mention one more thing.
Yeah, totally.
We ran an emerging composers competition this year, and we had a great response, and we got new pieces from all across Canada. And we created a jury, and we've chosen the winners. And so I'd encourage your listeners to go to the website, gswell.ca, and check out who these winners are. And they'll be one of the first prize winner will be performing a new work that he or she is writing for the TAC Ensemble, which is a group that's New York City based. And they're coming to Winnipeg for part of the Cluster New Music and Integrated Arts Festival, and that's in March. So that'll be very exciting.
Another premiere as part of this 2018-19
and
GroundSwell season.
Composer too.
Yeah, and it's always nice to support, especially since there are so many local Winnipeg composers as well that are actively participating in GroundSwell and in this season.
Yeah, for sure.
With the special events and with the season itself. Thanks for coming by the Classic 107 studio, David.
Thanks very much for having me.
David R. Scott is the interim executive director of GroundSwell, Manitoba's only series dedicated to presenting contemporary classical music, which begins their 2018-19 season, as you heard him mention, on Wednesday, September 26th. My birthday, actually.
Great.
Yeah. For more information, visit gswell.ca, which I would really encourage you to do because there is this amazing illustration that's on here as well that you should definitely check out. It's right on the website, gswell.ca.
And I should also add, sorry for interrupting,
no worries.
We've got an incredible deal on a season pass now, and that actually expires September 26th. So if you're interested in 50% off sales, and who isn't, I would certainly encourage you to check out the website and take advantage of that.
Well, perfect. And no time like the present as we hear some music of Théodore Dubois.